Okay, now we're going, so.
This is a quilt made especially for me by Granny. It's a star pattern. Sometimes they're called Texas stars, but I don't think this one is. It consists of diamonds mostly, and of course she sewed this one. She sewed these pieces on the machine on the back. And this is very precious to me because Granny made it just for me.
Okay, you want to talk about the one on the couch there?
Yeah, this is just a small quilt. We started finding shirts. We cut up some shirts and made quilts. I did most of the cutting, none of the sewing, and this is all by hand. And you see the back of it is just as pretty as the front.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ran out of shirts, but we found these other materials that kind of look like shirts, and so that's when we made that one.
There's a couple over here on
those,
the chairs here.
Those were made for children. I think probably Tori got one. I'm not sure, but those were some of the last that Mama made, and she was just looking for something to do, to sew.
Sure, yeah. Let's go over to the dining room table. There's some smalls over here we pulled out. A couple I've never seen. So this little one here.
I'm sorry, this mess is here.
That's all right.
This pattern is just one of squares and triangles. And we found this beautiful material, especially this right here, on one of our trips to Baton Rouge to the quilt store. And she made a bunch of those. I guess I have 8. And see, the back side is also pretty because you can see her stitches when she quilted it. But she sewed the pieces together on that old machine. And then when she quilted, she made it a dark color so you could see. I don't think that pattern has, if it has a particular name, I don't know. This is one that she made for just Christmas. And it's obviously some kind of flower. The backing is pretty. Now, she made a lot of these. She made only one of these. That's for Christmas. But This is a log cabin. She made a lot of log cabins because you see it was rectangular, and in this pattern she only made one set for Deanna, and it's very unfortunate. Deanna had a round table, of course we all did, but she made, it was a lot of trouble to make that round one, but she made a set of mats for Deanna, and then they were lost when Katrina flooded the apartment where she lived. But this has a meaning. This is called a log cabin, and these strips are obviously the logs, and that's the light, the lantern in the middle. And that is an interesting, to me it's a really interesting pattern. And it's one that she really enjoyed making. Hand done. All stitches are by hand.
Okay, we got some in the bedroom too, some pillows in the bedroom too.
This is also, of course, a log cabin, and it's a tablecloth. She made it for me, Grandma did, and she just backed it with this one piece of material. And this is a pillow, an example of the quilt that she made for Kaya's first wedding. Beautiful, beautiful quilt. And the pattern is called a double wedding ring. And it was very important to make this design in the center.
Let's see, there's one underneath this too that,
Yeah.
What's that one? Yeah.
This one underneath is very special to me because it's called Grandmother's Flower Garden. Each one of these is flowers. And I found it in an antique mall in Memphis with Inga. I found the top of it, just the top. And so Mother did the sides. I mean, she quilted it, put it on white material, quilted it, and what I really like about it is that the type of material here, we've come across old cloth and old patterns, and they all look like this, similar to this. So you can know that this is an old quilt. I couldn't tell you how old, but I'm very proud of it because Grandmother's Flower Garden is just about my favorite pattern for a quilt.
Okay, there's, oh, you want to talk about that one that we use in the computer chair?
This was made for Deanna's bedroom in her townhouse. The one that was destroyed was flooded by Katrina. But this was upstairs, so it didn't get bad. But I thought these were really attractive. Once again, that's just a star pattern. I don't know which star.
I've got some that I pulled out in my room too.
Oh, I see those.
Yeah, there's a. Yeah, I put them on I stacked them on the bed. We can just peel them off if you want to talk about those too. I'm going to spread this one out first, this little one. There we go.
I'm not sure who made this. She might have, but you see, it's called a postage stamp quilt because of the size of the squares. And once again, it's old because we see the same type of materials in the old quilts. So these patches, these patterns in the cloth show the age, and I don't know the age of it, but it shows that it's old.
Mm-hmm.
Now this
Spread that
is
one
the
out.
prime example of the double wedding ring. Mamaw was given 2 quilts made by some of her relatives who were Gerald Pierce's aunts. And one was the grandmother's flower garden, which she gave Mary first choice, so Mary chose that. And then I was given this one. And this one really, the more I studied this, the more I learned about quilting and was able to help Mamaw with her patterns, with her placement of colors, because the first 2 quilts that she made, she gave to Mary, and they were for twin beds, the twin beds that had been Oscar's. And they were helter-skelter, and so I think I call that a primitive quilt, because there was no organization as to design, pattern, color. It was just all kind of thrown together, but they were very pretty, and I would love to see them now. Mm-hmm. But the more I looked at these, this was really revealing the way that that's called a 4-square. So a 4-square joined these wedding rings. And then, of course, there's the design of the 4-square quilted in right there. And these ladies who are our distant relatives made these in the 1930s or something. This is a very old quilt, but it's heavy and not really comfortable to use. But it's nice to have.
Okay.
And once again, this is,
Oh, that one's like the one on the couch.
yeah, it's like the one on the sofa. But the pattern here is a 4-square, as far as I can tell. Or maybe, see, she has the matching 4 rectangles, or here she has a 9-square, and she might have sewn those together, and then kept all the 9 patches in a stack, and then put them together for the quilt. Mm-hmm. So that's how she worked.
And then
Now this one, I don't know who made this one. In fact, I forgot I had it. It's very old. And the reason I know it's very old is because the type of patterns that in the cloth, the type of cloth that it's made out of. And it's sort of hodgepodge as far as organization, because you see just strips, small strips here, long strips here. Just any way that she could sew together a square, and then she put the squares together. But that's the way.
Okay, we're back again.
I'd call this primitive to and the 1930s or something, because of the material. And but you see, I'm not sure. Somebody might have given her those squares. I'm not sure, but I know she made this one. Mother made this one.
Okay.
Or once again, it's made out of old cloth, old patterns, old. And I know that she added this much and right here. She might have had a great big square like that with these already together and already sewed together. And
Okay, that's the last one.
did you get this one out of the closet?
I did. I got everything on the bed. I pulled out of the closet. Yeah.
I'd forgotten what they look like.
Yeah.
But they're really good quills. Especially this one.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, me.
Well, this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being interested.
Okay, we're back again.
Once again, this was an old quilt. I just was given the top by Suzanne Storer, James's daughter. And my mother added all the quilting underneath and this strip to make it a little bigger. And I love this example. It's precious to me because his mother and my mother made it. But here's what she did. That's called, let's see, 2, 4. She made 2, 4, 6, an 8 patch. Or no, two 4 patches. There's no 8 patches, 9 patch and 4 patch. And so this strip is just 4 patches. And then this strip along all the way up to here is 9 patch. 1, 2, 3. 3, 6, 9. And you sew those together. She sewed those together. And in the olden days, they made quilts in a hurry for cover, for warmth. So if they ran out of particular pattern, a particular color. They just snatched up whatever they could find and finished their quilt. Now, this, of course, is my favorite, Grandmother's Flower Garden again. And the reason it's so small is because I made it. But I started it. And I did some of these. I like this hexagon pattern so much. And I like working with it. And then, see, Mama finished it. And we put, so see, we made we didn't have any haphazard colors or patterns. It's all perfectly matched. Everything is color and pattern. And that's nice once in a while. I have to get some junk off this thing. I want to show you an example.
Okay, I'll take that.
This is called I'm certain it's a monkey wrench, whatever you would. Does it look like it's a monkey wrench?
I guess so.
Something like that, or some kind of, I don't know the tools, but that's what it is. And I got this somewhere. I don't know who made it, and it's old. So that's all I have.
Okay, we've unearthed my college briefcase from 1979, and apparently there's quilting history in here, so here we go.
See, these were some of the, I was going to sew these together, and I never did. Well, in fact, Erin Ann wanted to. I think she did this much, because she was always interested in everything I was doing. And that would have made a 4 square. And this would have been the backing. Now these, of course, were the hexagons. And I guess I could have made a grandmother's flower garden from that. Nice piece of material. I think, is that Deanna's? No, I guess not. Anyway, we spent much time and many happy hours in the quilt store. This was a pattern from Grandmother's Flower Garden for that, for the hexagons. You had to put some sandpaper. Use sandpaper so it wouldn't slip. And I'm pretty sure this is, see, that's a very old pattern of cloth. This is the one Erin started on. I can see her. Some of her stitches. Of course, we got interested in other things. So, there's something else I want to show you that's in the closet.
Okay.
Mother made this for Erin. And when she was a baby, of course, a newborn. But I brought it over to my house because I think her mother would have washed it to death, so, or the cats would have thrown up on it or something. So I rescued it, and it's here for her when she has a baby or wants it. I made this this pillow.
That's a puffy.
It's a strange kind of
It's a puffy one, yeah.
quilting. It doesn't require any quilting. It's each one of these is stuffed with cotton, and then you sew these together, and you've got a pillow, which I don't use.
Okay, so on the screen here I have some snapshots of quilts and pillows that somehow made it to my house, and we're going to talk about these a little bit. Some of them we don't know the origins, but we'll talk about some that we do and maybe some techniques about some of them as well. So this one, we think this is by Sewilla, right?
I'm not certain about that, but I know that was the one pattern that she made. It's called Sunbonnet Sue, and she also did sunbonnet. Not sunbonnet, but Sam. She did a boy and she did a girl, and I'm not sure where I got this quilt, but I gave it to you, to John, because of your interest in children's books and your papers that you did on children. So Sewilla liked to do this one, these Sunbonnet Sues, and she could do them as realistic, and she would puff up the skirt and the head and the bonnet, and so that it looked like a real person.
Yeah, we can go to some closer shots here, and even closer, a couple of them.
I don't know, if that's one that Sewilla made. I just know that that's about the only quilt that she liked to make.
Mm-hmm. And appropriately, I'd forgotten that you made this during the time when I was studying at SMU.
That's right.
And this is, and you can see this is in my children's room.
Right.
That's the little table. It's sitting on that little children's table there. So I love it, yeah. And there's another little bonnet, puffy bonnet. And this pillow, we said we weren't sure where that came from, but same style though.
Yeah, I might have gotten it at an antique store, or I might. I'm just not sure where it came from, but it was obviously used. Yeah.
Not as puffy either.
No, not puffy.
And it doesn't look, it's not nearly as well done as Sewilla's. I'm just now noticing that, yeah. And there's another, that's I just flipped it over to the other side there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then this one.
Then with I don't know if Mother made this one, but that's a very unusual pattern. It's some kind of wrench. The square in the middle would be where you would insert the wrench and turn it. You can see the movement
Right.
of the blue, and it really looks like a tool.
Okay, and this one.
Now I know that Mother made this one this because she liked to make the stars, and that was old material too. That's an old shade of green. And this is one of her favorites, double wedding ring. And she made somebody a quilt of this type, double wedding ring. And if you look closely in the center of it, I made her a template to out of, well, let's see, it was stiff anyway. I did it on the in the office, the machine where you would make copies. I made copies and then put it on cardboard or whatever, and she loved to use that. In fact, she gave let all her friends use it, and then she wanted me to make one for all of them, so I did.
There's a real close shot.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
a
middle
close
of it.
shot. That's what she liked, that template.
Okay.
Oh, this is very special. She got on a tear of making cathedral window quilts. Each one of those squares is very difficult and takes a lot of effort. And she made this one for John and one for Helen. I remember that Helen's dog kind of tore it. But this is a perfect example of that. And it's an extremely heavy quilt because of all the stitching and all the patterning and all that she had to put together. And you'd really want to, I mean, it would have to be in very cold weather.
Now, I wanted to point out a few things here. I took some really close snaps. Now, there are some unusual panes in here. That little girl caught my eye, of course. And then I also wanted to comment on the weight. It's so much heavier than any of the other quilts that I have or have ever picked up. And that's another close shot. Now, there's some other unusual panes in here.
That pink one right there.
Right here, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that came from an old dress of mine.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. One of the close-ups I did was interesting. I really found fascinating. No, not this one. This is another unusual pane. what I loved about this close-up is I wanted to comment here. This little 4 pattern collection here, this to me looks like a quilt of little tiny quilts. If you looked only at this little collection here, and if you looked from far away, you would think it's magnificent because it looks like little tiny quilts inside of a larger quilt, especially that little square pattern there. That looks like a little tiny quilt, and all 4 of those do. That is what is extremely fascinating to me.
You can see how many on each square, how many times you have to fold it over on the edges.
Yeah.
That's what made it hard and hard to do. And of course, it was all done by hand. It was hand stitching.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I think that is one of Granny's quilts. Or did you think it was Mother's?
I recall that you told me this was Mama's quilts that you assisted in piecing. That was my recollection when you gave this to me.
Okay, that could be, because I have forgotten that. But that's the typical 4 square that she liked to do.
Yeah. And the last one we know is this was, when you gave this to me, you said this was, or no, actually, Mama gave this to me, and when you saw it at my house, you were like, holy cow, that's a granny quilt.
Yeah, Granny was a quilter too, but I never did see any of her quilts. My relation with Granny was that I was her hairdresser. Every time I went to New Orleans to visit her, or every time I visited her, she washed her hair, and I rolled her hair, and in hairpins, and combed it out, and she looked so satisfied after that was done. It was very pleasing to her to have her hair done by me, the hairdresser. Now this is a really complicated. The square contains a lot of diamonds, and those are hard to cut and hard to fit and hard to sew. But I don't know where she got this material, but it's nice. It's very coordinated.
The colors also struck me immediately as being really different than anything else.
Yeah.
That is in the family collection. But okay, well, that's it. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.